Hey, it's John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth. Happy Friday morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Looks like a nice day again, although tomorrow we do have a line of some unpleasant weather coming in tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on that. Sunday looks like a return to beautiful springtime weather. We are in peak beautiful springtime weather season. And I know it still looks a little damp out there as I look out the studio windows right here. But I hope that you're enjoying this spectacular spring. Much better than February, right? Much better than February. And I know we are going to have some storms this Saturday, but it's already stormy, I think, at Boston City Hall. We're going to talk about that today. There's also a new scandal brewing with the Boston Police Department. And these two, the love triangle in City Hall and the scandal in Boston Police Department, are kind of intertwined, which we'll get to. We're also going to talk about Maura Healey's climate religion, and our top story today is Tom Homan. Tom Homan has pledged to come back to Massachusetts. Channel 5 did an interview with him. Let's cut to that right away. Tom Homan and Channel 5, I misspoke. 25 Investigates. Sorry, 25 Investigates. All credit to 25 Investigates. Fox 25 Investigate, not Channel 5. Sorry about that. 25 Investigates got an exclusive, basically, with Homan. Let's take a look. Let's see here. Here we go.
State without notifying ICE.
And do you have any imminent plans to come back to Boston or Massachusetts at large?
Absolutely.
Do you know when? You personally?
Soon.
So is governor?
You heard it. Homan is coming back to Massachusetts or Boston soon. Soon. Will the governor meet with him? Because he just said, and we'll maybe hear this clip later, he just said he would be willing to meet with the governor. What was the governor's response to that? Let's listen.
Governor Healey willing to meet with Homan. Here's what she had to say.
I haven't spoken to him. I said that weeks ago that I'd like to meet with him. So that's the first I hear of it, and I'd be happy to meet with him.
She'd be happy to meet with Homan. Well, that's going to drive the left absolutely out of their minds, that Healey would meet with the chief kidnapper in charge. That would, I don't think the meeting will ever happen. I don't think the meeting ever happened. I think they're both being polite and saying, sure, I'd meet with her. And she's saying, sure, I'd meet with him, on the hope that it never happens, right? I think they're just being polite, and they know that if they say something like, no, I would never meet with Tom Homan, that's a headline. And so you don't want to feed into that. So instead you just say, politely, sure, I'll meet with anybody. You always say it that way because otherwise it's a headline. It's a line in the sand. And so you never say that. But I don't think this type of meeting will ever happen. But in the meantime, the left is absolutely going to go bonkers over that because he's the chief kidnapper in charge, don't you know? Yeah. So fortunately, when you go to Fox 25 and watch the video, it's highly edited, but credit to all Fox 25 for this. They actually put the full 13-minute interview over on their YouTube channel. We're going to take just a quick listen here. Here's Tom Homan. Again, let's hit play.
What you need to understand, every person that we've been arresting is a targeted enforcement operation. We know exactly who we're looking for. We know pretty much where we're going to find them. There's an operational fugitive sheet done in this.
Operational fugitive sheet. So when they go after the mother who's facing the domestic violence charge in Worcester, for instance, that's just not because they just woke up one day and say, let's go out. No, they have it's an organized operation.
A lot of work's done on this targeting. So it isn't like we drive through a neighborhood and look for people different than us. It's just ridiculous. We know exactly who we're looking for. We have an immigration record. We have a criminal record. We have a lot of information on the residents, and maybe some of the reports will say there's children in the house. We got to use extra care on certain things. We pick what time of day that's most safe, not only for the agent, for the alien. So, these are really well-planned operations. So the problem is they put fear in the community. And I knew from day one, they're going to vilify the men and women of ICE. They're going to vilify the men and women of the Border Patrol because they simply don't want immigration law enforced. Well,
that is exactly right. They simply don't want immigration law enforced. Remember, if you're in our country illegally, we might find you and send you back to where you belong. You're here illegally. Stop making these folks out to be victims. They are not victims. They are here illegally. Now, ICE can't go after everyone that's here illegally. So right now they're going after the worst of the worst, and they're making their way down the list. But make it perfectly clear that the far left, the pro-invasion folks, are trying to make the illegal aliens out to be victims. They are not victims. And there's no reason to be concerned if you are if you are either an American citizen or you're here legally. There's no reason to be, because you got nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about if you're here legally. But if you're not here legally, then, hey, you know what? You can self-deport yourself anytime you want. Trump will actually even pay for your airline ticket, as he said last week, I believe. Just show up at any major airport and, he'll take care of you. Bye-bye. But the only reason why you're scared, and this is a major admission of the left, which the mainstream media just can't seem to wrap their minds about. The only reason people are scared of ICE. Why? Well, you're only scared of ICE if you're here illegally. I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious that the only reason why our communities are scared, you're only scared if you've done something wrong, if you have something to fear because you've done something wrong, like invaded our country. Back to Homan.
We're going to enforce it. President Trump was elected by the American people on his number one issue, securing the border and running a deportation operation. We're giving the American people exactly what they voted for.
Damn straight. This is exactly what we voted for. And remember, Luce Hotline, we won the election. We won the election. I want to cut a little bit further into this interview. Let me just fast forward here, bring it back up for you. Here we go here to minute 11.
With our governor, Maura Healey.
If she's willing to meet, I mean, I'll meet with anybody. But, bottom line is she continues to say it's not a sanctuary state. And every week I get a report of public safety threats released from counties within that state without notifying ICE. Very serious, people. And will I go back to Massachusetts? Absolutely. We're going to flood the zone. Sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest the bad guy in the jail, we're going to flood the zone, because that's the places we need to target, because we know for a fact they're releasing public safety threats in the community. We see the reports. So where's the biggest concern? Sanctuary cities, because we know we don't have that problem in Florida and most of Texas, because we know our detainers are honored unless public safety threats are hitting the street. But in sanctuary cities, where we know public safety threats are released to the streets every day, that's where we're going to concentrate the resources.
And let me just add here, I'm just going to add in for Mr. Homan. When you go to Texas, which I've been to just actually very recently in March, ICE and immigration are everywhere. They are I got stopped on the interstate. It was like 8 o'clock at night or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And there was a ICE border patrol checkpoint on interstate. What was I on? Interstate 10 outside of Van Horn. And they stopped every vehicle way the hell out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's really in West Texas, way the hell out. And ICE, when you go to El Paso or Eagle Pass or all over Texas, and when I was in New Mexico, and definitely I was in the southern Arizona area, southern New Mexico, ICE and Border Patrol mostly, their vehicles are everywhere. If you took 10% of the Border Patrol vehicles and move them through, I don't know, Cambridge or Somerville, or actually probably where the Globe reporters live, which is probably in Wellesley or someplace like that. They would they would just have a complete flip out. It's amazing the federal footprint for Border Patrol in Texas, that if it existed here in Massachusetts, people would have a complete cow. I mean, you cannot imagine, you cannot believe how visible Border Patrol is in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, which I just drove through, as I told you. So way to go, Homan. I'm glad he's coming back, because when he does come back, you're going to face lunatics like this. This is what the left said yesterday on Beacon Hill on their rally, calling for reparations. Now, I'm not sure which reparations we have to pay first, whether we have to pay the reparations that Congressman Mrs. Potato Head wanted, or whether we have to pay reparations to the illegal aliens that we're deporting. I'm not sure which reparations we have to pay first, but this is what you're going to find when you come to Boston, Homan. This is the attitude. This is from the Loose.
Good afternoon. I'm Claire from the Church of April here at the State House. We had an awesome turnout for the rally for the Luce network, and we are asking Governor Healy to declare ICE a rogue agency.
If you didn't hear that, she's asking Governor Healy to declare ICE a rogue agency. That's demand number one.
In our state, to get them out of here, stop being complicit with
listen,
family separations and just the terror that's everywhere in our communities.
The terror that's everywhere in our communities. Again, you have nothing to fear unless you're here illegally. There's nothing. If you're here with the proper paperwork, or you're already an American, you've got nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry. There's no terrorism unless you've done something. Yeah. And there's no terrorism anyways.
Especially right now in Lawrence and Lynn. And we're asking her to bring back the remote access to court hearings that we had during COVID, because people are too scared to leave their homes and they should still be able to access due process.
They're scared to leave their homes and go to the courthouse because they might get arrested because they did something wrong, like break into our country. But they deserve due process. As I think all of you have already seen, did they get due process when they came into the country? No, they swam across the Rio Grande or waded across or across the northern border with Maine or Vermont or however they got here, but they didn't follow channels when they got here. That's why they're fearful they might be sent back. That's not terrorism. That's border enforcement.
Yeah, so I think,
and
I mean, it really
just
began
as a parent who sent their kid off to school this morning, I feel so sad and so angry, and I hope everyone will sign the petition.
I'm so sad and I'm so angry. Please sign the petition. This was on the just so that we get this clear. This was cross-posted on the Loose ICE hotline Instagram page, but it originally came from the Massachusetts Communities Action Network, a faith and values organization, 501c3, focusing on racial and economic justice with a 30-plus year history of creating change in Massachusetts. It's nonpartisan. Oh, okay. Cushing Avenue in Boston. Okay, sure. Can't make this stuff up, like literally. In the meantime, here's a view of the tens and tens of people that were at the rally yesterday. I think there may have been 40-ish people there. Yeah, very, very exciting. A lot of religious figures were at the this rabbi, a couple of reverends, so to speak, at the so It was very, very exciting. But again, I'm not sure who I write the reparations check out to today. Really hard to keep track. Somebody just told me on X that I don't even have to choose. I just send all of my money to Act Blue. And I'll be covered, right? That is the new reparations. Just send it all to Act Blue, right? That was pretty funny, right? Of course, right. Elizabeth Warren's favorite. Maybe I could just pull it up on my phone right now. Act Blue, and I could just transfer. I wonder if there's a way I could just transfer all of my entire bank account to the Act Blue fundraising platform. With the power of small dollar donations and Act Blue's flexible and fat-free fundraising, your fundraising campaign will shut up. But yes, that is the future. Direct deposit my entire paycheck and earnings directly to Act Blue, because that's in fact that's what the communists want, anyways, right? I was pleased to see that Michael Keneally came out with a very strong statement relative to the protesters that tried to block ICE from arresting a violent offender, someone previously charged with assaulting a pregnant woman. So this is directly related to what happened in Worcester. That's what happens when Maura Healey contributes to the spread of misinformation. I'll end sanctuary policies and put public safety first. Keneally blast interference with ICE arrest in Worcester. This is obviously echoing the statement from the U.S. attorney who said that this type of behavior should not be glorified. It should be vilified. She came out with that just the other day, and Keneally follows up. Here's, if I could just make a suggestion, a pointer. If you want to send out a written statement like this to the media, great. And by the way, I've actually never heard from the Keneally campaign. I don't know why I'm not on your press list, hint, hint, or Mr. Shortsleeve, hint, hint. But it just a social media tip in the future. I think this would have been much more effective if it was a video of Mr. Keneally and his position on this issue. If you still want to send the written post to the media, fine. But putting up a detailed document like this, I hate to say it, on that platform, almost everything is consumed in a vertical fashion on a really small screen. That's going to be almost impossible to read. But if you did a vertical video of you, then you could share that to Instagram and all the things, and then crop it to get the black bars away from it, please, so that it looks native to the platform. If you did a video of this announcement, I think that would have been, in addition to the announcement, I think that would have been a better strategy. Just my 2 cents in terms of just a quick critique of the candidates that we currently have. Mr. Shortsleeve also made the same mistake the other day, where he issued this written statement and posted it to X. Not that there's really anything wrong with that, but I think you clutter your feed. Again, if you want to send the written statement to the media, fine. But I would think you would be doing much more. You'd be much more effective if you did a video. And Mr. Keneally did a video in front of the State House the other day, which I thought was pretty good. It was in the same style of video that it was candidate talking directly to camera. Mr. Shortsleeve just did one the other day like that as well. I don't know who did this because circling, but it also has the black bar problem on X, so a little post-production wouldn't hurt. And I don't know if they were shining the camera directly into the sun, but the quality of this video, Mr. Shortsleeve, is not where you need it to be. So it's good that you made the video, and I think Mr. Keneally would have been better served with more video all the time. all the time. If you're not making vertical video and then converting it when appropriate to horizontal video, as seen here with the huge black bars that just looks like shit. If you're not making video, the number one central aspect of your campaign, video for mobile, then you're not understanding how people communicate in 2025. But it's still early. It's still early. But if you're not making mobile video consumable for in short sound bites, and especially if I can just add one more editorial here. Well, it is my show, so I can say whatever I want. Less video that is candidate talking directly to camera, even though, of course, that's my whole show, right? Less of that and more spontaneous video of candidate interacting with voter, candidate on phone, recording only your side of the conversation, not the other side, unless you have consent. But more spontaneous stuff like that, rather than just candidate statement to camera. There's a huge growth opportunity there. That's just all right. I've said enough. All right, let's move on. By the way, great to have you here today. If you want to throw a comment in and tell me I'm out of my mind or whatever you want to say, add your own 2 cents. You could throw in a comment in. There's a pretty good chance that I'll glance over here to the side and pick it up. Okay, so yesterday, all credit to Bostonians against Mayor Wu for breaking this story. Love triangle explodes in Wu's Boston City Hall as TFA sets the bar low. Plus, we have reparations for deported illegals, which we just covered. And when the guy makes the speech about the deported illegals, he actually says none of these demands are extreme, which I just thought was priceless. But let's talk about today in corruption at Wu City Hall. The Brutalists, which I thought was a great headline, considering the movie and City Hall is made in the brutalist style architecture. For those of you slow on the uptake, are these two individuals here in their mid-20s. They got in some type of domestic spat over on Hudson Street in Chinatown the other night, which would have been actually early Thursday morning. And Bostonians against Mayor Wu, all credit to that account for breaking this story, which is now gone mainstream. Good job on your part, Bostonians against Mayor Wu. And they've been quoted, or the gentleman's been quoted as, "We both work for the city, ... This is unnecessary." So he pulled the classic, "Do you know who I am?" kind of John Kerry line while being seated in the rear of the police vehicle. And he also apparently said, "She went on a date with my boss." Oh boy, both now suspended without pay. No word on the identity of the boss, but it is City Hall, so it will leak soon. Chris Ferrone speculated today that the Herald headline should have been, "Who's the boss?" Because that is kind of like the next domino to fall. You're exactly right, Chris. That is kind of like the next domino to fall in this story. Who is the third person in the love triangle, right? Who's the boss in question? But instead they went with who did they go with? Lady Gaga. They went with Lady Gaga, "Bad Romance," which also makes sense because, you know, in that "I Want Your Revenge," right, is one of the key lines of that song. City Hall staffers on leave after arrests. "Bad Romance," Boston Herald. I think Chris Ferrone, the whole Tony Danza, "Who's the boss" reference is maybe just a little out of date, I'm guessing. I mean, that goes back to the 80s, and you're showing your age, Chris, even though I think you're younger than I am. What do I know? I've never met Chris Ferrone. All right, so already Mayor Wu did not want this story getting out. That is crystal clear. And already when you go over, you can Google her name, Marwar. I think it's Marwa. When you Google her name, you get the boston.gov webpage. And then when you click it, it doesn't even click. It doesn't even click. Let me try his name here. When you click his name, oh, not found. She is already, when you click her name, it just goes to the page that is the general page, but her page, that her like personnel page, is gone. His personnel page is gone, because Mayor Wu is kind of like, she wants to get rid of these people from memory as soon as absolutely possible. Fortunately, the internet is forever. And here is Mr. Chulane Wong, if I'm not sure how to pronounce it. He got featured by the Boston Globe. Of course he did. Of course he did. And here's the Boston Globe interview he did about a year ago, talking about his visit to China.
My 8th grade summer, right before high school, I went to China and I learned about the Chinese culture, and I grew to really love it. I felt like I
Notice the thoughtful music in the background from the Boston Globe, the piano solo.
needed to make sure that people understood who I am. So as I entered my high school years,
I think we understand who you are now. I think we understand who you are now. Priceless that the Boston Globe featured this guy. That just makes everything come full circle. Oh, I just had the story from, clicked off of it. I was looking for it, but it's gone. Mayor Wu. Here it is here. Apparently, Mayor Wu knew both of these people. Let's bring that story up.
She knows both of these workers, and tonight she says they are off the job during the investigation.
Obviously, the allegations are incredibly disturbing.
Boston Mayor Michelle Wu.
There she's got the baby, always with the baby. Maybe if I hold the baby, the media won't ask me difficult questions.
Reacting to the arrest of 2 city officials overnight.
It is never okay to harm a police officer or to harm another member of our community.
26-year-old Maura Nazar is accused of assaulting a police officer after she called police to her boyfriend's Chinatown apartment. Both she and her boyfriend, Chulane Wong, are also accused of assaulting each other. She's the chief of staff for the city's Office of Police.
That's the webpage that has now been deleted from the Boston.gov website.
Accountability, and he's the neighborhood business manager for the city's Economic Development Office.
She made $83,000 last year. He made about $70,000. I think her salary annualized actually is going to be more than 83 because she only got a position as the chief of staff of the Police Accountability Office in October. And that's how these two stories that we're going to talk about coming up in just a second are tied together.
According to a police report, Maura told officers her boyfriend had cheated on her, so she went on a date with his boss earlier that evening, and when she got back to his apartment, he took her phone and her car keys. The report says she told police he held onto her wrists and wouldn't let go, and I was biting him in self-defense. Maura was accused of hitting an officer as she blocked a door, and both city workers allegedly told police where they worked. Maura's boyfriend accused of saying, "We both work for the city. This is unnecessary."
It is a privilege to be able to serve the public, and we are all also human beings, but at the same time, our behavior has to match the standards that we need to hold all of our city workers to.
So that sounds like a privilege they're not going to have too much longer, having just literally been erased from the City Hall website, literally erased from the City Hall website. Now, very important, and to tie this into the next story, again, she, up until yesterday, was the chief of staff for the Police Accountability Department. And why is that so important? Because according to Universal Hub, a Boston police officer who has been accused of swatting another Boston police officer has had their service weapon taken away from them unless they are on duty, according to Universal Hub. A Suffolk Superior Court judge has ordered a Boston cop who works in District E13 in JP to surrender any personal guns and to leave her department-issued gun in a secure location somewhere at the BPD when she leaves work for the day. Another Boston cop pursues a lawsuit against her and the city for alleged false emergency 911 call. Judge Boudreaux agreed that Officer Malika McQuaid has legitimate concerns about her and her family's safety. He rejected her request to declare Mariana Oliva unfit or dangerous to possess a gun. Still, Boudreaux ordered Oliva to stay 1,000 feet away from McQuaid's home and at least 100 feet from McQuaid and herself. Also, if she needs to travel through Roslindale while working as a police officer, she can only do so while in the presence of another Boston police officer. So here in this case, if this to summarize, we have two women. One is, both of whom are police officers, and one of whom I think swatted allegedly the other. Why would you SWAT another police officer? Why would a woman police officer SWAT another woman police officer? Why would that happen? And here are the accusations, allegations. In a March 23 incident, somebody named Sandy called 911 to report that McQuaid was suffering from postpartum suicidal thoughts and had guns inside her house. Sandy did not mention that McQuaid was herself a cop. So why would you say postpartum suicidal thought? And why in the world would you call the cops on another cop allegedly falsely? Because apparently there was nothing going on. There was nothing nefarious. There were roughly 20 minutes later, the supervisor radioed that the family is all set and okay, and asked the dispatcher, do we have the telephone number for the person who made the call? The person believes somebody is pranking or something, but is to be further investigated. In other words, like, is this some other type of disagreement between these two police officers? What is the nature of that disagreement? Allegedly, what caused one police officer to allegedly SWAT another in Boston? And now remember that the chief of staff of the Police Accountability Office is now suspended without pay. So, yeah, it just gets thicker and thicker. By the way, Adam over at Universal Hub, all credit to him. He reported this story originally in April of this year. And the lawsuit is pending between these two officers and the city. So if you didn't notice yesterday, Mass Fiscal came out with a incredibly humorous but also infuriating video of the executive director of Mass Fiscal trying to track down Governor Healy to ask her a question about how much net zero 2050 might cost and who's paying for that. Let's take a listen.
How much will the net zero by 2050 mandate cost and who's going to pay for it? Governor, how much will net zero by 2050 cost and who's going to pay for it? How much will the net zero by 2050 mandate cost and who's going to pay for it? Governor, quick question about energy issues. How much will net zero by 2050 cost and who's going to pay for it?
She wants her pizza.
Governor, simple question. I was trying to ask the governor all day. She was avoiding me, dodging me, ducking, everything. How much will the mandate go?
So he never gets Maura to answer the question. So instead he settles for State Senator Michael Barrett.
When net zero by 2050 costs.
Who's actually the chairman nut, climate nut of the Utilities and Energy. He's the vice chair. Senate committee. So Craney finds somebody actually with significant influence on this policy in Massachusetts.
And who's going to pay for it? How much will it cost, like money-wise? And who's going to pay for it?
It all depends on how you value the harm done by fossil fuels.
No, like cost, like
No,
1
no.
billion, 10 billion, 100
No,
billion.
you're talking about net cost, Paul. You have to be intellectually honest here. You're a smart guy.
I'm just trying
I
to
read
get-
all your stuff.
That's
I
great.
appreciate what you guys do. You have to talk about net cost because you're a business guy.
I know, and you're a politician, so sometimes you can
No,
speak
no,
out of both
I'm a
sides of your
form-
mouth.
I'm a former
I'm just
business
looking
guy.
for a simple answer.
Michael Barrett has been off and on an elected official since at least the 90s, if not the 80s. For him to say he's a business guy is kind of laughable.
We think it's going to cost 100 billion,
No.
500 billion.
I think in the end it's going to save money and it'll be a net gain.
Okay, so how much will it save then?
Because
What's the number?
I would say, you said 100? I'd say 100 billion.
I appreciate you being the last man staying with me here.
Well, that's because I enjoy talking to you. Listen, you guys keep up the good work.
Hopefully,
Oh man. Here is Representative Nick Baldiga explaining actually how much it's going to cost and what this strategy is. If we spend $200 billion on net zero, none of the Democrats even know what that means. But it effectively means building shoddy wind farms that pollute our ocean and kill our whales, outlawing gas-powered trucks that transport our food, stopping more gas and oil pipelines. To think that we'd actually save $100 billion is hilarious, Representative Nick Baldiga says. There's not one real scientific study that can be done, forget that has been done, to calculate the actual cost of all of this. It's a Ponzi scheme to funnel billions of their green tech bros and further drive up your utility bills. Yes, Representative Nick, you hit the nail on the head. You have bingo. Absolutely. That's exactly what is going on. That is exactly what's going on. And, you know, we don't want to get too into the details on this, but there was a hearing just the other day, remote, of course, because heaven forbid these people actually come to the State House to do any work. There was a hearing the other day, and State Senator Cindy Cream actually basically said that we're going to try to get rid of natural gas. Now, they don't actually just come out and say that, because they couch it in like all this type of political language that makes everything sound so super reasonable. Mayor Wu is actually a master at that. Mayor Wu is a master at, and Governor Healy is very good, but I actually think Mayor Wu is bad. Mayor Wu is achieved mastery of saying things that are incredibly radical, but wrapping it up in a word salad package that makes it sound so harmless. And then you actually digest what she just said, and you're like, holy, I can't believe she just said that. And that's why she is where she is, because Mayor Wu's incredibly eloquent for the radical cause, Governor Healy as well. Here's Cindy Cream, who's not nearly as eloquent, but delivers in this meeting, this virtual meeting. I love how our husband or whoever it is in the background at the fridge. Take a listen.
As an 82% reduction from 1990 levels by 2030. Also relevant are sublimits for residential heating and cooling and commercial and industrial heating and cooling. There is simply no way for Massachusetts to achieve reductions without shrinking the footprints of gas distribution system.
There is no way, getting back to Representative Baldiga's post and Mass Fiscal's post, there is no way for us to hit the 2050 net zero goal without cutting back our natural gas consumption. Not keeping it steady, but cutting it back. The problem with that, of course, is natural gas is what a lot of people use to heat their homes, and it's also one of the most dependable suppliers of electricity throughout the country, if not the world, but definitely in our country. And she says that we cannot meet our natural gas goals or our climate goals unless we cut back our usage of natural gas. So it's not like they just want to cap it where it is. They want to reduce it.
And shifting customers to alternative sources of heating. such as air source heat pumps or network geothermal.
Network geothermal, which I'm pretty sure one of those network geothermal pilot projects up in the Merrimack Valley just got canceled.
My hope was that the climate compliance plans would represent a detailed roadmap describing how each gas company would transition sufficient numbers of customers to clean heat between now and 2030 to achieve the required emission reductions. I'm grateful for the plans that were filed and the insights they provide about gas transition. I'm eager to hear more about these plans.
That's what they call it now. It's called gas transition. Gas transition is the new phraseology because why? Why, people? First off, none of the climate stuff, you can't funnel billions of dollars to your climate tech bros, Representative Nick, as Representative Nick point. You can't funnel that money to them unless they have a monopoly. The only reason why any of this green energy thing makes sense from a financial perspective, if it's the only option, which is exactly what Representative Nick was saying in this tweet. Very good tweet. I mean, it is, or post, or whatever they call it now. Democrats are determined to pound working class citizens into the Stone Age with their net zero mantras and mandates. Just stop. Excellent post by Representative Nick Baldiga. I hope I got that right. I practiced. And that video that we just talked to you about is from, let's just get it right. So I want to source this from you. The Senate Committee on Climate Change and Global Warming from 2 days ago, and that was the chairwoman, Cindy Kareem. So that brings us to something we've already talked about and something you've probably seen in a Mass Fiscal video from time to time, where you have that archived video of Maura Healey celebrating the fact that remember, I killed 2 pipelines. Well, in the Herald today, they ran an opinion piece by Jessica Toohey talking about the fact that we have plenty of natural gas just over a couple of states away, but Pennsylvania natural gas suppliers have 2 logistical problems getting their product to New England, New York, and Massachusetts. Actually, Jessica, to be fair, it's not a logistical problem. It's a political problem. And just like in order to solve the border crisis, we didn't need a border bill. We didn't need an amnesty bill. We just needed a new president. And in order to solve our energy crisis, we don't need green energy bill. We just need a new governor. We have to divorce ourselves from this climate religion. These deep blue states work hard to block natural gas pipelines, not just for their own citizens, but to the residents of neighboring states. In fact, Governor Maura Healey often brags about the steps she's taken to halt the movement of natural gas. Remember, I stopped 2 pipelines from coming to this state, Healey said in October of 2022 when she was our attorney general, Now, getting back to Representative Nick's point about how their policy crushes working class families, and when you have a policy that is so bad that it crushes working class families in terms of the utilities cost, what you then do is, instead of reversing your policy, you then take money from people that produce it, and then you give it to low-income folks so that their problem, because they have a lot of votes, so that their problem paying for the high electric costs, the high utility costs that you created is mitigated. And how do you do that? You do that by having a assistance program used by 6 billion households. And WGBH is very concerned that Trump wants to eliminate home energy assistance program used by 6 billion households. Let's be perfectly clear. If we had widespread availability of natural gas, you wouldn't have to pay people off with an assistance program. You wouldn't need the assistance program, because if we had widespread ability of natural gas to provide heat and to provide electricity, our prices would go down. Our prices would go down, and you wouldn't need this subsidy program to buy the compliance of low-income voters. But that's your program sucks so bad. Your program sucks so bad that you take money from working people and you give it to low-income people who might also be working, we should add, because your program makes it very difficult to afford energy. And instead of admitting that and changing the policy, instead you suck government dollars and send it to low-income folks so that they're not upset at you when it's time to vote. That's exactly what's going on here. And some of those low-income folks are working, some are not working. But if they are working, they are also competing against illegal aliens that have depressed wages for working folks all across Massachusetts. Remember, that is one of the most unspoken costs of the invasion, is how illegal aliens are, because of the massive additional supply of labor, are depressing wages for working class folks in Massachusetts. And you know, the media, the Boston Globe, they don't want to talk about that. But my God, I'm sure if you live in Taunton or Pittsfield or Salisbury, wherever you happen to live in Massachusetts, if you know that you are here legally and the guy down the street isn't, and you're both, let's just say, in the landscaping business, and if the guy that's in your country illegally, if he wasn't here competing for jobs against you, like, you know, to cut the grass at someplace, you could ask for more money to cut the grass because there'd be fewer landscapers in the marketplace. But since that guy is here illegally competing against you, your wages go down. If you're running a small little landscaping business, you know, one guy with the pickup truck and a couple of lawnmowers, you understand that innately. But the Boston Globe doesn't want you to talk about it. And until we can actually talk about that, as the Democrats would say, honestly, then we're not going to make progress in defeating Maura Healey. Until we actually have a candidate that can come out there and say, hey, you know what? These illegals are actually depressing wages for working class people. Unless we can actually reveal that as a fact for which it is, we're not going to make progress talking about the 2026 election. It's just not going to happen. Let's see if we have any comments here. Bingo. Judy says bingo. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Nick, for that exceptional post, and also Mass Fiscal for that as well. They did a great job, and they continue to do a great job. They have super upped their video game. And I also want to say, like, if you're following what Mass Fiscal is doing, Mass Fiscal is basically creating a media outlet, which gets back to my earlier rant in today's video about the candidates and how they should use video almost universal. If you're not using video as a central platform for your campaign, especially vertical consumable video, then you don't understand how to communicate in 2025, and certainly not in 2026. Gaslighting, it should be called. I think it might be called gaslighting, Buck. Dan says, because we are double dipping, getting subsidies and getting wages. Yeah, I think I know what you mean, Dan. Absolutely. All right. So it's been fun to be with you today. You have a great weekend. We'll keep you posted on any future scandals that might come up. avoid the raindrops tomorrow. Apparently, it's going to be stormy. Until then, we'll see you Monday, 8 a.m. Bye-bye.